Cincinnati's back in the orange and black. See the natty on the map, baby, tell me where you at. In the jungle, who they bringing it back to the jungle. As the game day, yeah, the jungle's back. Got the natty pack in the orange and black.
Hey, welcome to Week 9 of the Cincinnati Bengals Weekly Show on The Grueling Truth, brought to you by Gridiron Mo, a new interactive football app where you get to call what you think the offense or defense should do during a live NFL game and see what all other fans have called also. Check out Gridiron Mo at www.gridironmo.com. As always, I'm your host for the Bengals Weekly, Mike Goodpaster. Let me welcome in former Cincinnati Bengal linebacker and my weekly co-host, Joe Kelly. How you doing tonight, Joe?
Hey, Mike, I'm feeling great. 7-0 sounds great, man. Had an opportunity to actually go to the game in Pittsburgh. So, man, it was. I'm still fired up, man.
Did you get your tetanus shot before you went down there, Joe?
Yeah, something like that. So it was intense, man. It was intense. Great crowd. Of course, there wasn't too many Bengal fans, man. But those guys, like we were talking last week. This is a special group. And they definitely remind me of what we had in '88. They've taken it another step. They've gone 7-0, so the first team in Bengal history to ever go 7-0. So we're fired up. Ex-players are fired up. The city is fired up, man. So this is a great time to be a Bengal fan.
Well, and we got a special guest from those great Bengals teams in the late '80s, early '90s. Help us welcome to the Grueling Truth Bengals show, Barney Bussey, defensive back from the Cincinnati Bengals.
Hey, appreciate it, Mike, man. I'm excited to be on the show. We're doing great. It's an exciting time to be in Bengal Nation, baby.
Oh, most definitely. So let's get to this last game. The Cincinnati Bengals beat the Pittsburgh Steelers 16-10 to run the record to 7-0. Dropped Pittsburgh to 4-4, which basically gives us a 4-game lead in the division, almost at the halfway point. Joe, what was your takeaway from the game?
Going into that game, Mike, we talked about it. I think we had us winning by at least a touchdown. I did think our offense would have scored more. But like I said in last week's broadcast, this is the divisional game. And bigger than that, it was the Steelers. This week it's the Browns. It was the Steelers. So I said last week that it was literally going to go down to whoever had the ball the last time. And ironically, that's how it went. It was a tough game. I don't think we offense played as well as we're totally capable of playing. I thought the defense gave up some plays here and there, but when you look at it, the bottom line in the NFL, and Barney can attest to this, in the NFL, it's all about keeping the other team out of the end zone.
That's right.
They came down, man, and I walked in that stadium. I was fired up. My wife was afraid, thinking I wanted to jump over, out of the stands, get on the field, man. I was so hyped, and they went and they drove it on us, man, like it was nothing. And in the stands, they were all constantly reminding me that I believe Ben has only 12 years only lost to us 6 times. So they're pretty arrogant. They're pretty confident that their team was going to run up and down on the field on us. But fortunately, our guys, this team, this 2015 team, I don't think they have something special. I know they have something special. They do have remnants, and it remind me of what we had in 1988. And it was great. It was a battle. It was a battle of will, a battle of want. Because when you look at it, how evenly matched the teams were, it came down to who wanted to win the most. And Barney can tell a lot of times when you get and there's an even match. When you have an even match and it's tied up, it's all about heart. And I think our heart, we proved that our heart was pretty big, and we stayed in that game. We had times where we could have folded, but we kept going at them. You've seen the guys kept their heads up when we had bad breaks, when we had good breaks. We just kept grinding, man, and we got that victory, man. So, oh man, that was huge.
Well, Barney, I think the key going into this, outside of it's always stopping the run, but you had to worry about Antonio Brown. Sorry about that. Martavius Bryant, the wide receivers they had. What was your take on the way, Sean Williams, George Iloka, the safeties played, Dre Kirkpatrick, Leon Hall, Darquez Denard? What was your take on the way the safeties and basically the entire defensive backfield played against the Pittsburgh wide receivers?
Well, I thought they did a great job. I mean, I'm loving the way Iloka plays. I mean, he puts his head in there and square up on people. I knew all along that if our front four could get a little bit of pressure on Ben and make him move, that our secondary had a good chance. That group is really, to me, has grown a lot. And all that has to do with the maturity of the players and that front four that we got.
Yeah. Joe, we go back. Last week we talked about how they'd given up almost 5 yards of carry to everybody they faced. What was your take on the way the linebackers played? Especially maybe touch on the loss of Ray Maliuga, who I don't think is going to be playing this week. That
concerned me. I seen those two guys, Burfict and Maliuga, talking pregame, and I think that's what got me hyped. Barney was pretty used to me getting a little crazy before the game, and I've seen those guys, and I think they have a special bond. So I was anticipating a great game, and I think after that first series, and they come out the second series, I'm looking and there's no 58. And I because from the stands I couldn't tell where he got hurt, what was hurt, whether or not he was gonna come back in the game. And then when I seen him standing on the sideline without his helmet, that was a pretty good indicator that his day was finished. So it did worry. It did worry me because of the fact of how other teams have been able to run on us. Overall, it still comes down to keeping them out of the end zone. But all the previous teams had some success running against us, and now we're facing probably the best running back besides Adrian Peterson. The kid at Gurley is running very well, but Le'Veon Bell.
Right.
And it was just unfortunate that play. He was out. I thought it was a very clean hit. I didn't think there was any intentional harm, or he went out of his way. It was just he just made a play, and it was just fortunate because in that type of play, Burfict could have as easily hurt his knee as Le'Veon Bell did. So overall, I thought they played good in spurts. I think they played better than I expected once Ray Maliuga went out. One thing about it, I was still, and Barney, I mean, you could talk about this. I was still didn't understand the defensive line rotation because 97, it would be hard for me to take 97 and 96 out. And Barney, you can attest to that. There was a lot of me in the stands saying things I really can't say on the radio because those guys were standing on the sideline.
Right.
I didn't understand what the rotation was about.
Yeah, and I don't think the D-line really got the type of pressure that I thought they would with Ben coming back after such a long layoff. I thought we would be able to get more pressure up the middle and make him move, and we really didn't until like the second half, and they started getting a little bit more pressure, which I think paid off in the end.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, if you look at past Bengal game plans, I think Big Ben is a guy you want to keep in the pocket and let him stand there for a little bit and basically let your coverage work and wait for him to make the mistake. And he did do that 3 times.
Correct, yeah.
So, I mean, I think you always see him freaking out. There's no pass rush on Big Ben, but, I mean, as a Bengals fan, I've seen a lot of Big Ben games where they get pressure on him and he's dragging guys down the field and throwing 40-yard completions.
Right.
So I think he's a quarterback that's better when he is forced to move around in the pocket a little bit instead of a guy that I don't think he thinks real clear sometimes.
Yeah,
but
Ben's he's a playmaker. I mean, he hasn't attained the success that he has by not being a playmaker. He makes plays, but
yeah,
like
he makes.
Barney said,
yeah,
he's still even. We're all just a man. He was coming off of being on the sideline for 3-4 weeks. His knee still wasn't at 100%. So I thought with us being able to apply pressure, definitely would have made a difference. He was moving around, and I think his knee is going to get better. And if he stays healthy, I think we'll see him moving around a lot more the next time we play him. But we didn't. I think that was, even though we only gave up 10 points, and it's scary to think that we could play a lot better, because even in your preseason goal, your preseason goal is not to hold a team to 10 points. It's usually to hold them to 17.
17 or 20, yeah.
Points. Yeah, so for us to hold them to 10 with Ben, with their wide receivers, with Le'Veon Bell, that speaks volumes on the defense. But I was still kind of disappointed in our defensive line play at times. At times we were able to do what they're capable of doing, but we were Ben was basically back there with a couch and a cigarette and a martini. Sometimes. So we definitely got to get a little better at that, and just continue on this run that we got going.
Yeah. Now, offensively, the thing that concerned me, which is what Joe, I bring up a lot that worries me about this team, is the offensive line. I know everybody thinks that they're one of the 2 or 3 best offensive lines in the NFL, but I think Pittsburgh pretty much dominated them most of the game. What was your take on it?
Yeah, it's the games. Everything starts from the front, up front. Your front four against their starting offensive linemen. That front seven. I thought initially they definitely were outplaying us. They were being more physical than we were. They were sustaining their blocks against us. So I was worried. And we talked about offensively how our offensive line, on paper, how well our offensive line had been playing, how their defensive line has just been average. But like I said, we were talking about last week's broadcast, Mike, when I was talking about Ironhead's Hayward.
Right.
When you go into a game, and this is the NFL, and you take someone lightly because they are not ranked the number 1, number 2 defensive line, and you played well against some guys who were on paper Pro Bowl kind of guys who've been playing well, and I think those guys from the Steelers, I think they definitely met the challenge. I think that Pittsburgh defensive line played their butt off. I think they, to me, being there, I've seen them play as well as they've played all season. And they
defensively, they really shocked me.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think they shocked me. I mean, Pittsburgh has a good defense. I mean, their secondary, to me, is not as good as they were, but their front four and their linebackers are just as good as any. And they're used to playing against us. So for them, they know what to expect from our offensive line. I mean, I think we got a good offensive line, but I don't think we're in the top 5 offensive line. But those guys are starting to play better. But Pittsburgh is just a physical, up-front team. You know what you're going to get from them. And I think the bye week, we was a little rusty coming back. Yeah,
and historically the Bengals have been. I mean, I think they're 4-7-1 before this game, coming off the bye week with Marvin as the coach. I'll tell you, the guy to me, maybe you can speak about this a little bit, Barney, who is really underrated on this offense, who I think they desperately need to keep it, is their H-back Ryan Hewitt.
Oh, yeah.
Does a great job blocking, and every week seems like he makes 1 or 2 plays catching the ball that gets a huge first down. You want to speak about Ryan a little bit?
Yeah, I think he's playing this role well. I mean, I wasn't really sold on the H-back because I'm from the old school. I believe in the fullback. but the game has changed such that, these guys have adapted well, and Ryan is, he's a good pass receiver when he needs to be. He's making plays. So I think he's been a great asset to the offense.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I remember, I think he's been here 3 years, and they had John Connor, who'd played with the Jets, who played really well in preseason. I think they're going to keep Connor and actually have a real fullback, and then all of a sudden they're keeping a tight end from Stanford who was drafted late in the draft. I'm thinking, what the hell are they doing? But it seems like on this one they definitely knew what they were doing.
Yeah, he's definitely done a great job. Like I say, he can catch the ball at the backfield. They can split him out. So, he presents a problem to the defense sometimes.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Andy Dalton again. He played, I wouldn't say necessarily he played poorly. He was pressured all day. Right. But at the end of the game, he made the plays to win the game. And Ben Roethlisberger, I guess, kind of they reversed roles in this game. Yeah, and, Dalton has now won 23 road wins in his first 5 years, which ties Dan Marino, Ben Roethlisberger, and Matt Ryan for the most ever. So he's got 4 more shots to get one and set the record there. So you want to speak a little bit about Andy Dalton, the way you thought he played this week, Joe?
Yeah, I thought we've been talking all year about Andy, about the gunslinger, as I say. He's I thought in the past seasons he would make a mistake, and I would look at him. I would look at his demeanor going off the field, and he would run to the sideline, and he would constantly put on his baseball hat, the Bengal baseball hat. And he did that the last couple of years. And for some reason, that would just piss me off. Because I'm thinking, you go off on the sideline, and you're worried about looking for your hat when you just threw a pick. So I see the maturation. I see him coming off. I didn't see, he didn't get flustered. He wasn't playing bad. They were just making plays. They just had tight coverage. They were putting pressure on us. So the thing about it, and the difference this year is that you can see that confidence level, Mike and Barney. When you're confident and when you're playing with a little swag, at some point in time I'm going to make a play, and he had every reason at some point in the game just to go into the tank, because they were, it's Pittsburgh, the Steelers. Yeah. You're in Heinz Field. The defense is playing, the crowd is roaring. We're not making plays, and you're talking about opportune times. You catch AJ on that 30-40 yard, a long ball on the sideline. You ad-lib and you flip it to Giovanni, and he runs down there, and you make that, that touchdown play. But the drive when he made through the interception, that was a typical time for the Andy of the past to go sit on the sideline, go look for his hat, sit down there, and not have the confidence in himself to come back right away. Defense got the ball back to him. It was a hell of an interception. He went down there, man. He drove, and he made some plays. So I think that's his confidence level is sky high right now, and I think that's the biggest difference.
Yeah. All right, now Barney, my question to you: this final thing from this Steelers game, and then we'll get off of it, because let's face it, they're just a 500 team, so it's not that big a deal to beat them. But in the past, like we lose the playoff game in 2005, Carson Palmer gets hurt. Steeler fans always talk about how Bengal fans whine after they get beat, crying about how, the Steelers are too physical. Right. It seems like that's kind of turned around with this team, and from the things that were said by Pittsburgh Steelers after the Bengals beat them.
Right. I agree with you. I think the tables are turned. We're not the same old Bengals that they're used to seeing. When something goes bad, we go in the tank and everything goes downhill. If you look at the last 3-4 ball games that we've been in, we've overcome some adversity, and there's all the credit to Andy. Andy's really stepped up. He made some great plays. The guy got all kinds of weapons around him. And I think he's starting to utilize all of them. He's not just focusing in on A.J. Green, but, yeah, I mean, I think the tides have turned. I mean, we're not the same old Bengal team that something bad happened, we go in the tank. These guys have learned to face adversity and overcome it.
Well, and the thing is this. It seemed like before everybody kind of, or nationally, people would just kind of laugh and smile and say, yeah, the Bengals are winning some games. The thing that's different about this team is this. It seems like now people are starting to not like us, which is what we want. Because I know my dad always told me this. If you're playing a sport and everybody you're playing hates your ass, that means you're beating them.
You're doing something right.
You're doing something right.
So, I mean, I love the fact that, they're saying Vontaze Burfict plays dirty. I'm sorry. I've seen him play dirty before. He plays dirty. So,
hey.
I mean, I've been waiting for some guys for the Bengals to play like that for like 15, 20 years.
I mean, Pittsburgh's been doing that forever.
Yeah, which is why they win.
Yeah.
You don't win football games with choir boys.
Exactly.
I don't think with that steel curtain. I never seen Mean Joe and L.C. Greenwood and Dwight White and Ernie Holmes and Jack Lambert.
Yeah.
I didn't see those guys help too many guys off the ground.
They
so,
did.
That's what it is. That's why
probably pushed them down.
Hell, I remember watching Jack Lambert pick Brian Sipe up and slam him on his head.
Exactly.
Right.
Now the rules and things a little bit that mentality.
He earned penalty, but nowadays he'd be suspended for the next 4 games.
Exactly.
He'll be suspended. So I mean, it is what it is. When the little brother grows up and the little brother can beat big brother now, the big brother has a problem. Now Big Brother started making all kind of excuses. His knees hurting, this and that. Well, the court was slippery. Man, come on, man. Enough is enough. We're here, and I think the tide is turning. Pittsburgh's still a tough team. I think they're.
Yeah, they will be. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're still going to make a run. I think they're one of the most well coached teams. I love Mike Tomlin. Just the organization of what they emit, the confidence and the legacy that the Steelers have, and I think they'll go on a run. I don't think that we can be at 7-0 and think that hey man, we're cruising. I think we're going to have to keep our foot on the pedal. Who was that? Who was that? Paul Brown, Barney?
Oh yeah,
got your foot on his neck.
Yeah, he said don't pick it up, just adjust it and keep it on, keep putting pressure on.
Keep it on, yeah. Don't lift it up to adjust it. He might get up. Keep it down there.
Yeah, best time to kick a man is when he's down because you don't have to knock him there. He's already there at foot level.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But hey, real quick, we're going to take a break. Check out our sponsor, Gridiron Mow. We'll be back with a preview of the Bengals-Browns game Thursday night right after this.
This is former All-Pro Leon Search. I've got a new interactive app called Gridiron Mow, where you get to call the plays, offense or defense, and a live NFL game. You get to interact with other fans, pick the play, pick the call. That's Gridiron Mow.
All right, you're back with Week 9 of the Cincinnati Bengals Weekly. We're going to preview the Bengals-Browns game. Barney, you want to give us your take on this, and how dangerous a game do you think this is for the Bengals?
Well, if we look back, especially last year when we had a lot of things going on with the event with Devin Steele and his daughter and everything, and, Cleveland came in and kicked our tail handily. I don't think that's going to happen this time. I think the Browns have a lot of problems going on outside the players on the field. I don't think Joe Hayden is going to play. So I think we're ready. I think we're primed to go ahead in there and prove to those guys that they can't come in here and do what happened last year.
Yeah. Joe, do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. It still worries me because, Barney knows it. It's still the Browns week. That's just like the Steelers, the Oilers. Oilers, but back then. But it's the Ravens. You still have that, and I still think these are the games that you throw the records out the window. We're not 7-0 Thursday night. I guarantee you, we're not. It's not going to be a 7-0. a 7-0 team versus a 1-6 team. I guarantee you that.
They're hard.
Cleveland's going to show up, you know, and they I'm reading on the ticker that Manziel, they're going to start Manziel. But like Barney said, man, this is you see some guys. They got a couple guys, I think, on a concussion protocol. You know, they have some issues.
Yeah.
You know, and I think because of that, the issues that they're having internally, the issues that some of the players are having physically, I think we can go in and do what's necessary. We offensively, we should be able to dominate these guys.
Yes.
We should.
Especially with no Joe Hayden.
Right.
Yeah.
And plus, Dante Whitner's on the concussion protocol also.
Yeah. I think is it two guys?
It's four guys altogether. You got Brian Hartline and Andrew Hawkins on the offense, Joe Hayden and Dante Whitner on the defense.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are four important players.
Exactly.
Very, very important. So you know, it worries me, but you know, you're looking at it, and we're seeing an up close view of this thing that's happening. You know, and Barney, you could kind of understand at some point in time that in our '88 season, you knew something was happening, and it was something good. You know, and I see this with this team, and the fact that, you know, we're dealing also, Mike, with it's been prime time, and we still have that stigma.
Yeah, but if you remember, the last time we played in prime time, we beat Peyton Manning, intercepted him 4 times.
Yeah. You know, but
I think people forget that.
Yeah, we've had some success in prime time. People forget that, but it hasn't been a lot. But we can win in prime time.
Yeah, they did it against the Broncos. And the other thing to me is this. When I'm watching that game, Joe, Barney, I don't know if you guys had the same feeling. Normally, if the Pittsburgh Steelers come, walk down the field and score on us, Big Ben goes 5 for 6, throws a touchdown pass, I'm thinking, oh, crap. This time, I just sat there and thought, that's no big deal. We'll get that back.
Yeah, considering the way we played all year. I mean, like I say, we faced some adversity, and we didn't go in the tank. We responded, and that's what we did this past week.
Yeah, it's what they did in Baltimore. It's what they did against Seattle. I mean, they've done it against good teams. I mean, Baltimore, people may not consider them a good team, but that's still not a game where if you're playing them, you think you've got an easy win.
Especially at their...
Yeah, I'd still rather play Cleveland than Baltimore.
Yeah.
And, I mean, if Cleveland has Josh McNown, I think this is a lot more dangerous game. But it looks like Johnny Manziel, so hopefully Manziel can do what he did last year against us.
Yeah, throw us a couple picks.
Because that might have been the worst game I've ever seen a quarterback play.
Yeah, he had it rough. You know, I think I think they're going to come out fighting, but at some point in time, we have to put our will on them and let them understand. You know, this is a different team. This is a different year, and at some point in that game, they're going to be able to sit back and say, "Wow, yeah, these guys are real." And I think we need to go in there and show that to them.
Yeah, I mean, the weapons Cleveland has, I mean, their probably biggest weapon right now is Gary Barnage, who's a tight end who I don't think we can confuse with Ozzie Newsome. I mean, he's a solid player, very good player, but wide receiver-wise, I mean, if you're missing Hartline, it looks like you're going to be missing Hartline and Hawkins. They don't really run the ball that well. And the other thing about them, I think this is the game where either Jeremy Hill or Gio or both have huge games. I think they're 31st or 32nd against the run. So, I mean, their pass defense are like 9th or 10th, but that, of course, is with Joe Hayden, who's one of the best cover corners, I think, in the NFL. So you're taking him away also. So, Joe, what's your prediction on this game?
On this game, we look at, and it still scares me, man. When you're going, you talk about the things on paper. You talk about on paper how bad Cleveland is.
Yeah, look at Tampa Bay and Atlanta last week.
Yes, I mean you look at it. So I think we are primed. We are primed right now to take a loss. because of that, you look at on paper, everything that should and could go wrong with Cleveland has on paper. Our wide receivers should dominate because they don't have their best one of the best corners in the league. They don't have one of the best safeties in the league. Their offenses don't have their quarterback. They don't have the wide receiver. We should dominate. And Barney, this is the NFL, dude. Those 53 dudes that's coming down from Cleveland can play some football.
Oh, they can play. I agree with you.
I think a perfect example, real quick, let me interject this, would be 1990 when y'all had to beat Cleveland, who I think it only won 2 or 3 games that year, at Riverfront Stadium to make the playoffs. And if I remember right, you guys didn't wrap that game up till the last few minutes, 21-14.
Right. I mean, you just throw records out the window.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
but
go ahead, Barney.
I think my prediction is if we don't score 28-7, if we don't score more than 28 points, I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
So I think Joe's picking the Browns, though, right, Joe?
No, absolutely not. Wait a minute, Mike. I'm not drinking whiskey yet. Not yet.
It looked like you were before the game, though, Joe.
Yeah. All that being said, this is a game where you think that, hey, we should be upset just because on paper that's how it looks. It looks at, okay, it's everything is going too well for us and everything is going too bad for Cleveland. But I think with this team, I think Manziel coming in and not having any kind of experience, game time experience this year. I think we will impose our will. I think our offense, like I said, we're going to get that rolling. I just think our weapons that we have on offense will. We
should dominate both sides of the ball.
So I'm definitely I don't see them scoring more than 10 points, and I'm definitely looking for us to score. I say we have to score at least 5. So I'm saying 35-10 Bengals.
Yeah.
Tough in the first quarter. They're gonna play a hell of a first quarter, and then we'll roll.
All right, and Barney, you had 28-7, or was that at least 28-7?
At least 28. I'll be disappointed if we don't score more than 28 points.
Yeah, I'll say Bengals 38-13. I mean, I am worried about the game because it's an NFL game, and we know how that goes. I'm going to say 38-13, but real quick, since we got Barney on here, Barney, what is your most memorable Bengals game from when you played?
I say against the Steelers, at home. Probably the game that you was talking about. I think I ended up getting a fumble recovery for a touchdown.
Oh, the 27-10 game in 1990?
Yeah.
All right, what's your most memorable game against the Browns?
We played them up there. I think Tim McGee had a heck of a game.
1989, 28-0.
Yeah. And it was always fun to play up there. I mean, that's when they had the dog pound. They were throwing beer cans and batteries and dog biscuits at you. And so, it just it made it for a good, fun game. I mean, the players was great. Their fans was great. Stadium wasn't worth a crap. But, hey, it was a good place to play, though.
Yeah, that was the worst stadium ever, besides the Houston Astros.
Yeah.
All right, Joe, your most memorable Browns game?
I think my most memorable Brown games. We had a couple. I think with Ernest Biner and Kevin Mack.
Yeah.
Just the wars, the battles that you don't really see as a fan. I think just going and the physicality of the game. I just remember Ernest Biner and Kevin Mack and Isaac Newsom, those guys, being real physical. And Ernest liked to talk a lot, so he met the right one. So
yeah,
I like to talk too. So
we know that, Joe.
We had some wars. We had some battles, man, and I can't say one particular Browns game, I just remember how fierce that rivalry became, and how it was a heated and hated rivalry, and it was we had some really physical games. You know,
and you don't live in Cleveland, you live in Cincinnati. So
that's right. Don't live in Cleveland.
That's one of the biggest Bengal moments, and it happened during a Bengal Seahawk game, if I remember right.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it was some good games. Good games back in the '80s, and some good rivals. With the Steelers also. So. It's a great time.
And the other thing is, I don't know if you guys heard the other day, but the Bengals are actually playing 3 straight primetime games because their Arizona game got flexed to, I think, 8:30 Sunday night in a couple weeks.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess you're talking about the now the NFL is on the Bengal bandwagon.
Yeah.
Remember how long was it when we didn't have a Monday? We didn't have a primetime game for how many years?
Yeah, for a long while.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of that was the fact that we lost, so we went like 3-13 every year from '92 to about 2002.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hard to bitch about.
Yeah. It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
And the main thing, you keep that going by winning.
Yes.
You win, and I mean I'm looking at tickets, and they're selling tickets. In section 132, I could normally get a ticket for $130, down in the third, fourth row. Now those front row tickets are $650. So this was the last home game. So now everybody's riding that wave and taking advantage of this bingo win streak. But it's great. It makes for great water cooler conversation. I think as former players, Barney can attest to that. It makes you feel good because this is where we started, our career, and we all decided to stay in Cincinnati and raise our families here, and we're like family, man. So
we're all in.
We're all in. We do it all. We all we got, boss.
Yeah.
Hey, it was definitely an honor to have you on tonight, Barney. Would like to have you on in the off season. Maybe we just do a half-hour, 45-minute interview about your career.
Hey, I'm in town. Hey, just give me a buzz and let me know when you want me on.
All right, we'll definitely do that. But we're going to have to get off here now. We get the NFL Pick'em show coming up after that. That'll be with myself, Matt Andrew Scavage, former Steeler, who I'm going to get to have a lot of fun with tonight, Pro Bowler Leon Searcy.
Yeah.
So he said he will definitely be on. He will definitely be on the next Bengals Steeler preview show. Actually, he had a family member had to go to the hospital last week. Was in there all week. So that's why he wasn't on.
Okay.
But also, former Denver Bronco guard from the '80s, Mark Cooper, will also join us tonight to pick the games.
Yeah.
And then next week, of course, me and Joe will be back for another Bengals Weekly show to preview the Texans game and to review the Bengals beating the hell out of the Browns. And also our Pick'em show next week will feature myself, Matt, Leon, and former welterweight champion of the world, Kermit Cintron, will be on to pick the games also.
All right.
So, we got any final words tonight, Joe?
Anyway, I'm saying 8-0. We're on this prime time run, and this could be just colossal, man. This could be huge. We can, potentially run these 3 games off, man, and be 10-0 and keep the city on fire, man. So, I'm excited. We'll be down there front and center, man, and hopefully our guys can just keep it going and stay grinding and just do what they do best. And that's compete. And I think they'll be successful.
All right, Barney, you got any final words?
Yeah, I agree with Joe. Just guys keep playing hard and don't let the winning streak die. Don't believe all the press clipping. Stay within yourself and, stay as a team. Keep pounding away.
All right. Well, everybody remember, check us out at the Grueling Truth Facebook page, www.gruelingtruth.com also. So for Barney Bussey, Joe Kelly, this is Mike Goodpaster. We will see you next week on The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.
All right, good deal. Thanks, Buff.
All right, Joe. See you, Mike.
All right.